Hi there, folks. It's me and my hairy leg. So, I don't know if you guys heard on the news or read online this past week that Sirius Satellite will not be renegotiating Howard Stern's contract this coming winter. Usually that's when Howard Stern re-ups or re-signs his contract. It's during the winter, and it's been 5 years since his last contract. How do I know this? Because I am a huge Howard Stern show fan. I haven't listened to it in probably the last 2 years, at least the last 2 years. Only because, and I hate to say this, Howard has sold out, in my opinion. Now, some of you watching out there are probably also Howard Stern show fans. I don't know. And you'll probably say, how could he be selling out, you know? Prior to the past 2 years, I had been a loyal listener since about 1990. Okay? And so for about 30 years, I listened to, I'd say, like 92% of the shows in the past 30 plus years. And I get it, okay? A person changes over time. Artists change over time. I'm not saying that the Stern Show isn't funny. I still think it's the funniest radio show out there. It always will be. It always will be the best morning radio show, in my opinion. But it really lost a lot of its charm for me when all of a sudden Howard, who used to talk shit about celebrities and all that, all of a sudden now he's gushing about them and talking about how he was at a party with Robert Downey Jr. and, you know, hanging out with George Clooney at his villa in Italy. And it's just gross. It's just stupid. Like, Howard, we get it, you're famous. But at least for me, a person who has listened since the first days that it started being simulcast to Los Angeles, it just lost a lot of its charm in the past 10 years. And forget the celebrity. Once he started getting too political, like, okay, he would always talk about politics during the news segment of the show. I don't know how new or old to the show you may be, if you ever even have listened to the show. But my favorite parts of the Howard Stern Show used to be the first hour of the show, when he'd be catching you up with what the staff has been up to and all that. And my second favorite part of the show was like the last hour or so, when Robin Quivers, which, by the way, happy birthday, Robin. Today is Robin Quivers' birthday. And she used to do the news segment of the show. And so that was my second favorite part, probably my most favorite part of the show, when Robin would read the news and Howard would comment on it, and everyone would go back and forth riffing about the news and laughing about it. I miss when he would have comedians to come in and sit in, especially in the news portion. Talking Gilbert Gottfried when Gilbert Gottfried was in there, it was hilarious because Robin couldn't even get through the news. She would always have to try to stop Gilbert because he wouldn't stop going off on some crazy tangent. Richard Belzer was also a great person that would come in during the news segments and all that. Artie Lang, when Artie Lang took over Jackie Martling's seat in the early 2000s, when Artie and Gilbert were in the same room together during the news, hilarious stuff. So once again, the show, to me, will always be hilarious. But he shouldn't have started kissing ass to politicians, because he really has. And if you say that he hasn't, then you're not a real listener, because there are a lot of people who claim to be real Howard Stern show fans who, and I get it, you'll still defend Howard. I would still defend Howard. Like, he changed radio a lot. He did not, I mean, the FCC was always trying to get him off the air, and somehow he survived. He survived what they call terrestrial radio. He kickstarted and helped satellite radio grow. Sirius Satellite was failing. It was about to go under. XM radio was kind of the top leader at the time, but when Sirius signed Howard Stern, not only did Sirius grow exponentially in growth and listenership and all that, but they even were starting to put XM radio under, until eventually Sirius XM, because of Howard Stern, was able to purchase XM, and for some reason they just called themselves Sirius XM. Like, I don't know, you were always competing against XM, but you're still going to keep it anyway. So I don't know if I'm even going to listen. I mean, I might listen to the last show on satellite. Yeah, before I forget, one last reason why the show, to me, just started to go downhill was once COVID started. First of all, Howard is a huge hypochondriac, and he's got daddy issues, and he can't get over them. We've all known this if you listen to the show, but the COVID shutdown of 2020, they started to do the radio show from their homes, and Howard just stayed there. He stayed at his home. Even after COVID was done and people, the world was opening up again, Howard still does his show from his home. And it bugs me that someone who used to give the other radio personality, Don Imus, a bunch of shit, and rightfully so, because Imus was a piece of crap. But he used to give Don Imus crap for doing his radio show from home, from his ranch. And now Howard has been doing it from his home for 5 years. So I kind of understand why Sirius was probably like, what are you doing, man? Like, you haven't even shown up back to the studios that we built for you here. Now you're at home. You've been at home for the last 5 years. If I remember correctly, I think only one person was able to get Howard to come back into the studio. And I think Howard has done a smattering of shows from the studio since then, but he definitely has stayed at home a lot more. But only one person told him that the only way he was going to do the show if Howard came down to the studio, and that was Bruce Springsteen. I didn't bother listening to that show. I listened to some of it, but yeah, Howard was definitely a revolutionary in radio. Inspired so many comedians. I think that's one reason. I think that's a huge reason. Forget Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan has done a lot. Well, actually, Mark Maron has done a lot for podcasting. But Joe Rogan has taken podcasting to Howard Stern levels. And Howard used to always talk crap about podcasts. And now most people don't even know what the Howard Stern Show is. At least younger generations don't. So he definitely inspired comedians who were inspired by his radio show to get them to start doing podcasting. But Howard, you've been great. The last 5 to 10 years, not so great. Still the funniest show on the radio, in my opinion. But am I going to miss it? Yeah. I guess I'll miss the Howard Stern Show, but one day I'm going to do a video. I don't know if I'll do it on this channel. I'll probably do it on my Dirt Nap Collectibles channel about a collection of Howard Stern stuff that I still have, and I don't know if I'll ever get rid of it. But anyway, and we still have, I think, until December before the show ends. But thank you, Howard Stern Show and Howard Stern, for all the listening pleasure over the years, except maybe like the last 5 to 10 years. And also, happy birthday to the Queen, Robin Ophelia Quivers. Thanks for watching. Peace.